Well, when it comes to the radio frequencies that we cover in our forecast, this includes the range from HF, VHF, all the way up to UHF. That counts basically for 3 to 300 megahertz and 300 megahertz all the way up to 3 gigahertz. Now, when it comes to the actual radio types that we cover as part of our forecast, we can start from the lower tactical domain, and that is soldier level radios. This is professional mobile radios as well that are included when we're talking about the tactical edge in this case, so homeland security or military that deploy together in disaster response scenarios. And in addition to that, we have portable transceivers, so-called manpacks, backpacks and so on. In addition to that, we include vehicular radios, as well as static and fixed installations, again in those frequencies. When it comes to the overall trend ahead and what does the forecast indicate over the next decade, we can see that the overall market for military communications is remains stable during the next 10 years. The combined annual growth rate currently projected at minus 0.6%. This is overall a stable market, and that a slight decrease is predominantly due to a slowdown in the US market as a result of the sequestration, as well as acquisition of hundreds of thousands of tactical transceivers over the last decade in the United States, due to the deployments in Afghanistan, as well as replacement of older radios. And as a result, the overall market is tend to be overall stable, but some areas will increase as part of this of the overall market. We will see United States slowing a little bit, but then again you will have areas such as in Europe and Middle East, in Asia Pacific, that will make up for that reduction in the US market and bring the overall market into a stable outlook over the next decade. Well, as we talked about this earlier, there are several areas around the world or geographies where we do expect strong growth ahead. Outside the largest market, which is the US at this point, Asia Pacific comes second. And we do see an extensive modernization program across several countries in the region, which will result in an overall combined annual growth rate of 3%. This is a very strong growth trend for the Asia Pacific market. It's driven primarily by upgrades of existing systems, replacement of older equipment, and as well is also driven by security threats, is also driven by technology advances, as well as local expertise, companies that are able to produce and develop and produce equipment that is up to the standards Western Europeans or US companies will produce. Now, if we combine that with a large standing armies in countries such as India or China and Japan and so on, we can see that the potential for numbers in terms of boxes or transceivers is actually very healthy ahead. And in addition to that, we see opportunities in Eastern or Western Europe. The overall market, if we see and if we separate Eastern and Western Europe, Eastern Europe is a much smaller market compared to Western Europe. It accounts for about 250 to 300 million of annual spending this time of the year at this point. However, we do see that this market will almost double, and we expect a combined annual growth rate to reach about 5% in Eastern Europe. This is primarily driven by procurements in countries such as Russia, and where we see large-scale replacements of inventories and tactical transceivers, and as well Turkey, where local companies such as Aselsan is introducing new generation tactical transceivers to replace their older families that are widely deployed in this country. And as well countries such as Poland, Romania, where we see opportunities ahead, and further down the line other smaller nations in the area. However, the strongest market when it comes to geographies is that of Western Europe, and this is driven primarily by first of all large-scale national efforts. In the case of France, for example, with the Contact program, in Germany with the Streitkräfte Gemeinsame program. We also see again further down the line towards the end of the decade, United Kingdom will eventually start replacing the Bowman infrastructure in service today under the program called LETAXIS. And alone we will see opportunities again in the Scandinavia, in Sweden, Denmark, Finland and Norway. And we see explosive growth ahead. close to 7.8% CAGR over the next decade. And as we said, this is driven primarily by acquisitions in large nations such as Germany, France, the UK, but we also see substantial opportunities across the rest of the Western Europe. In Italy, for example, with the Forza NEC program and Finmeccanica is already delivering units of the S-Wave family of radios. In Northern Europe, we'll see also opportunities in Sweden. We expect acquisitions of software radios in the near future. In Finland, in Norway, and Denmark, we have opportunities for upgrades of existing radios, as well as acquisition of new transceivers to establish either tactical backbone or as well procurement of radios to facilitate the introduction of lower level command and control systems. Well, when it comes to development trends, we have to see the market in a holistic approach and start from the very basic levels, the basic building blocks of today's radios. And that would be software and embedded electronics. So advances in software and embedded electronics have driven the explosion in capability offered by today's radios. Next generation transceivers we see today is the iteration of the software-defined radios that we have seen in service over the last few years, but also these days we see the next generation of those software transceivers entering the market. And as a result of those software-defined radios, we see an increased waveform portability. So radios can accommodate greater data throughput. And in addition to that, we can see opportunities in the tactical CNR, combat network radio markets, where militaries will replace their old inventories of non-software radios with the next generation software transceivers. These programs, as we spoke about those earlier, such as the Contact program in France, in Germany, in the UK, in Italy, and several other nations. These development trends help identify opportunities within the tactical domain. And when it comes to form factors, we see that the portable market is the strongest available to us at this point when it comes to measuring either quantities or volume of quantities or actual revenues as part of the sales of tactical transceivers. Other areas where we see strong growth ahead, however not in the immediate future, include ship-based transceivers or airborne elements, airborne systems. Those are the three areas where most of the funding will come. In addition to the above-mentioned areas and form factors, we also see substantial improvements in the wideband network radio segment. We see improvement up to tenfold in data throughput over the last few years with the introduction of upgraded versions of existing radios with new modems, new waveforms available that drive the establishment of tactical level command and control systems. And the more we see opportunities in the lower level tactical C2 with the introduction of platforms such as the Citaware Edge or SABS systems or Thales Commander. All these new generation tactical level C2 solutions require a substantial command and control and communications backbone to support it. And therefore we see opportunities drive the acquisition of radios to support the deployment of these two systems.